Hey guys, another update video for you here. This is the filming on the 4th of November 2023. I haven't had anything else to do really that would be worthy of a video on, so I'll just record another update for you. This is going to be a quick one because nothing really needs to be fixed right now, and nothing's needed to be fixed for the past 3 or so weeks, so, whatever. But as you can see, I've been driving the Oldsmobile. I drove it a little bit this week. I've also been driving the Citation a lot more. I'll get to that a little bit later. Basically, the only thing that's changed with this car since I last did a video on it is something that I actually got really frustrated about and almost made a video on, but decided not to because I wasn't in a very good headspace at the time. And the reason for that is that I got my catalytic converter replaced because I want the muffler replaced on it, and in order to replace the muffler, they can't work on a car without a catalytic converter. And if you watch my previous videos, you know that I deleted the emission system earlier this summer on this car, so I got rid of the catalytic converter because it was big, annoying, and in the way, and it was causing an exhaust leak, and the heat shield was rattling, and it was just annoying, so I got rid of it. But I had the shop replace it with a universal fit catalytic converter. The core of it is about, I don't know, that big around. So it's way smaller than that big ass thing that was in there before, and it's definitely not going to be in the way any more than a regular exhaust pipe would. And this allows them to replace the muffler down the line. But that being said, that repair bill was about $250, and if they decided to do the muffler as well, which would require them to replace the entire exhaust pipe between the catalytic converter and the muffler, it would have cost $500, and I didn't want to spend that much at the time. So it still needs a muffler. It also still needs a frost plug and the passenger side valve cover gasket. But more on that muffler job. This is the reason I was so irritated about it. When this jackass got out of my car, he sat on the edge of the seat instead of sitting in the middle, putting his legs out and hoisting himself out of the car like I always do with this. He put his ass directly on the edge of the seat, which if any of you who have owned these 80s GMs know, that's a big no-no. Because this here plate isn't held up by any kind of bolstering underneath the seat. It goes right into the frame of the seat. These screws do. So when you sit on this, it puts all the stress of this crushing down that your ass has on it, and it puts strain on this here bolt. It puts strain on this here bolt that's missing, and it'll crack this like that happened. That was obnoxious. Anyway, it'll crack all this stuff, and worst case scenario, which it just so happened for me, it'll break this switch here. And this is a 6-way power seats. You got forward, backward, up, down, and then front tilt and rear tilt. There's no recline because it's too old for that. What had happened is it broke off. This is a machine screw. That is not supposed to be in there. It's a Ace Hardware part. Both of these screws pulled out of here. They ripped the threads out with them because he sat on it so heavily. Ripped the threads out, cracked this plate here in half. The screw stayed in there, but the piece ripped off. It was dangling down here, and this here control got lodged up in between the seat and the floor, and it was stuck in a down position like this. So what had happened is the front of the seat tilted all the way down, but instead of stopping, because you're at the end, the switch was being held down like this constantly. So it just kept going, and the motor just kept spinning, and it destroyed the transmission for the seat on this. The seat transmission that controls the up, down, and forward, backward motions absolutely fucked it up. It's completely destroyed. I picked up my car thinking I got a good deal, $250 for a catalytic converter and some new exhaust pipe. Hell yeah. I get in the car, immediately smell something burning. I'm like, what the hell? And the second thing I noticed is my seat was all the way forward and all the way tilted down. And I was thinking, what in the fuck is going on here? And I looked down, I reached down to adjust the seat, and this is not here. So I get out of the car and I look and I see what I just described to you, and I look underneath the seat, and this here metal track for the seat, there it is right there, the motor, and then that yellow thing's the transmission, was like so hot that I burnt my hand on it, and it smelled like burning metal, like welding basically. So I had to take the seat out of the car, take that transmission apart, rebuild it, take the motor out, test it, motor worked, transmission worked after I rebuilt it. I'm going to need a full new kit for it, but they don't make them anymore, and I'm going to have to get a junkyard part for it eventually. But I've got it to work enough that I went and I adjusted the seat as close back to what I had it before, and I unplugged the son of a bitch. So it never happens again. That's why if I do this, nothing happens, because I unplugged it, so that'll never happen again. But that irritated me. It irritated me a lot, and I wanted to make a video on it, but like I said, I was not in a very good headspace at the time. I was very, very, very annoyed, and for the last week or so, getting in and out of the car, I've been slightly annoyed every time I get in and out of the car, just because I know the seat isn't back where I had it. I know for a fact that it's not back where I had it, because I had to readjust the mirrors to accommodate for the changes in the seat position. I tried for a while. I could not get the seat back to exactly where I had it, and that just irritates me beyond all capacities. I am very particular about my cars, as you may have seen in my videos. I do not like when my things are messed with, especially since this would have totally been avoidable if the guy just had gotten out of the car like a regular person, instead of sitting on the edge of the seat and actually, paid attention when he got out and saw that he broke it and fixed it, or disconnected it or something. But instead he just didn't even care. So that's what's been going on with the Oldsmobile. So on top of the frost plug, valve cover, and muffler, I will also have to be on the lookout for a junkyard seat transmission, so I can properly rebuild the transmission in this car. But without further ado, I guess let's go to the other 3 cars. Alrighty, the Cadillac. Nothing new with this. Within the time of the last video, I did make a about 400-mile trip with it, with nothing major breaking, which is very nice compared to the last 2 times that I made a trip longer than 200 miles in it. The fuel tank straps came off the one time, and the entire exhaust system came off the other time. This time there was no major malfunction happened with the car on this trip, so I was happy about that. And the only thing that I've done to it is just today, in fact, I placed a couple of sand tubes in the trunk, prepping for winter. It is a little cold out here. My voice might be shaking a little bit. I was just riding the ATV around, so I'm starting off at a bad start here. But it's about upper 30s right now. It's been colder. It actually did snow at the beginning of this week, but it did not last. As you can see, there's no snow left. Grass is still green. It hasn't got cold enough yet to kill everything, so that's good, I guess. But in preparation, we're supposed to get a lot of freezing rain this week, so in preparation for the next time I have to drive the car, instead of having to deal with it then, I just threw the sand in now, since the only time I ever drive the car is for road trips anyway. So there's that. The plan for this car, the next thing to fix on it, is going to be the differential. Has a couple of leaks. The pinion seal is leaking, and the differential cover gasket is leaking. So I bought parts for that, and whenever I get time at work, I am going to get the car up on the hoist and fix it. So that's what's next for this car. Moving on here to the Citation. Nothing has changed with this. I haven't fixed anything else on it. I've been enjoying it. I actually, it starts phenomenally well in the cold, which is surprising because the choke doesn't work. It warms up great, within, I'd say 30 seconds, it's ready to drive. So it's not like the Olds where it has to warm up for at least a minute, and it's not like the Mercury where it has to warm up for at least 2 minutes. It's ready to go within 30 seconds. So by the time I get my radio turned on and my tape in where I want it, and get the climate controls set to where I want them to be, it's ready to drive. So that's good. Windshield washer does not work on it still. I think I've got a clogged nozzle, but I'm not going to even pursue trying to bother with it at this point. I'll just deal with it if I get bored later this week or something like that. Other than that, I've just got a couple of things about it that I've noticed that I'm really appreciative of. Okay, for starters, this is not something I'm appreciative of, but the rear defrost does not work. It works, it has power going to it, but the connection is really shitty, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to fix it so that it's not such a shit connection, because those brand new shocks are painted instead of just bare metal, and the connection for the rear defrost ground actually goes through the metal of the shock. So if it's painted, there's no connection, so it doesn't have power or ground long enough to heat up, especially if you're driving, because then you're moving around and things are shaking, and the connection just won't stay solid enough for long enough to keep it warm. But anyway, beyond that, the things I've been happy about with it is how simple it is. Just like the Maverick, I am starting to understand why people like these lower end base model type cars. This is a lower end car, but it's not a base model. It's actually almost fully loaded for these. But the other thing that I realized is that throughout driving this through the beginning of the week, when it was in the low 20s in the mornings when I got to go to work, I realized the heat on this car is phenomenal. It's amazing. I cannot believe how hot this car gets after just 20 minutes of driving. It's like you're sweating. I had to turn the heat off on my way home from work on Wednesday when I drove it, because it was just so damn hot, which is something that is new to me, because my Oldsmobile, the Cadillac, most of the cars I've ever owned do not get warm enough that you ever have to shut the heat off. It's just like, oh well, it's more comfortable than being outside. This car actually gets so hot that you start sweating, or you gotta take your jacket off or turn the heat down or something like that, which is really a nice change of pace. So this car will probably end up being my winter car, as long as there's not too much snow or ice. When there's snow and ice, I'll definitely be driving the old, just because I fear for how poorly this thing will handle in the snow. On slippery surfaces, being front-wheel drive, being a light car, being just the way that it is, short wheelbase and stuff, I'll still probably prefer the olds for snowstorm weather and hail and sleet, raining, freezing rain, all that stuff. But as far as like January, February, when there's not any weather going on and it's just bitterly cold, I'll probably end up driving this car a lot, because it's the heat is just so great that you can't even argue with it. And it's not that uncomfortable of a car. I've actually found myself fairly comfortable in it for being non-padded seats, and no recline, no lumbar, no tilt, no nothing. It's just a seat, a standard bench seat. I've actually been fairly comfortable in it. But anyway, that's the citation. The Mercury. Nothing new. Hadn't fixed anything. I drove it a lot for the week before last week, because it was kind of like the last time it was going to be nice before it got really cold. I drove it yesterday, but it really doesn't like the cold. Anything below 40, it's backfires, doesn't perform very well. It's kind of sluggish, and the choke seems to stick on a little bit, so that's probably in need of adjustment. But since I never drive the car in the wintertime, I'm not going to bother with it. So that being said, the next thing for this, actually tomorrow, matter of fact, I'm going to clear out the cold side of the shop here and put it away for the winter, put it away for storage, because it, like I said, it is going to be freezing rain by the end of the week, so I'm not going to be driving anymore. Yesterday was probably the last time I drive it. I might drive it tomorrow. It's supposed to be 57 as a high, so maybe as one final send-off, drive it a little bit tomorrow. But other than that, you're looking at it for the last time this year. Over the winter, I plan on replacing that door right there, and doing all the body work and paint work and replacing the vinyl top and getting all that stuff done. But I don't know how far. I don't have any expectations whatsoever of how far I'm going to get with that, because I have no idea how difficult it's even going to be to get a parts car for the thing. So I don't know where I'm going to get with that, but I'm going to try to do all that stuff. It's a steep offer though, so we'll see where I go. Other than that, other news, the Lincoln did not sell yet. I had a guy look at it. He said that he could do 500 now and like 300 later, which is 800, which is lower than I want, but nobody's even really messaged me or bothered me about it as of yet. So it's kind of looking like that's gonna be what I go for. But then he just messaged me today saying that he actually can't do anything more than 600 right now, so I don't think I'm gonna take that offer. So still have the Lincoln if anybody's interested. You can watch the video I have on it, my most recent video besides this one. You can watch the little short showcase, shows you everything, but people who've been watching the channel for a long time know what the car is. Yeah, that's still for sale. Other than that, nothing else has changed. I will try to keep uploading videos as frequently as possible whenever I have something to fix. But if it's not worth showing, I'm not going to show it. If it's commonly talked about on other channels, I'm not going to show it. And if it's a poor quality video, I'm not going to show it. I try to keep my things as high quality as possible, especially for my low editing skills, and tend to rant about things like I am right now. But I'll keep these update videos coming out at least once every 2 or 3 weeks, just to keep the people who subscribe to me entertained. I know some people actually like these videos. They're actually, some of these update type vlog videos are some of my most viewed on my channel. But anyway, this one's run on for a little longer than I wanted it to. I'll say one last thing before I head out, and then you can move on with your day. But being that it is getting to be a little colder out, I am going to be doing some cold start videos. For some reason, that's like a fetish upon, within the YouTube community for cars. People really like to watch people start cars in the cold. I do not know why, but I can put some cold start videos out for you guys. So I'll start doing that once it gets below freezing and see where it goes from there. So without further ado, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.